Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw.
Welcome to another episode of Breaking Brews. I'm your host, Commander Claw, and I'm excited to bring you Clive, Ifrit's dominant. Yeah, a mono red commander from the Final Fantasy set. I think if you are new to building mono red, this is probably the best mono red commander that exemplifies what mono red can do and what you should and would inspire to do philosophically when you're building a mono red deck. Now, since it's an enchantment summon, we'll get more into that later. Uh, it's a lot of different type of cards built into one. So that's why I feel like it's the greatest example of what mono red should do, could do philosophically. So let's talk about Clive, Ifrit's dominant for 4 and 2 red. To me, this commander is a good stuff commander where you get to put all your favorite mono red cards into this deck. But it's also an equipment commander, in my opinion. So you need to take advantage on damage doublers, damage triplers, and mana rituals to even play this commander. And to be honest with you, if I'm playing this commander, I'm expecting him to be a kill on sight commander. Nobody in your pod in the right mind who's trying to win is going to let you activate his ability. And let's talk about it. So I need y'all to focus here on the left hand side. He's a 5/5 body, legendary human noble warrior. When Clive enters, you may discard your hand, then draw cards equal to your devotion to red. Each red pip in the mana cost of permanents you control count toward your devotion to red. Tap 4, tap 2 red, exile Clive, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Activate only as a summary. Okay, so let's unpack the left-hand side first, right? So for 6 mana, your commander has an ETB, which is a one-sided wheel. That is amazing in the color of red, okay? This what is amazing about the Final Fantasy set with all these transformed and enchantment summon creatures, they are a bunch of abilities on one card. However, I like to look at it as rewarding points as you play your commander during the game. That's the way I look at it. So for 6 mana, which is very expensive, your commander reloads your hand. Okay, the next turn you should have 6 mana. You can transform your commander into the right hand side over here, which is Ifrit, Warden of Inferno. Okay, and this is really good because mono red is susceptible to targeted removal. There's not many ways to protect it. You better have the swift boots, something hexproof, all those equipments just to keep Clive on the battlefield. So that's why I like these Final Fantasy transform mechanics because they're rewarding you for putting your commander on the battlefield and keeping him on the battlefield. Now that he's transformed into Ifrit Warden of Inferno, he becomes a enchantment summon. So he is also a 9/9 legendary enchantment creature, Saga Demon. Like at the very bottom on the right hand side here. But he also has the Saga abilities. So the first chapter says, Lunge, Ifrit fights up to one other target creature. Okay. His second chapter is Brimstone. It says add 4 red mana. If Ifrit has 3 or more lore counters on it, exile it, then return it to the battlefield. Okay, front face up. And that's also his third chapter. So yes, I did skip a part. When do these chapters trigger? Let's talk about it. It says as the saga enters and after your draw stuff, add a lore counter. So I'm saying this all to give you the idea how long your 9/9 bodied commander sits on the battlefield. It's really 2 turns, the first chapter and the second chapter. And the third chapter, he goes back into Clive. So, what do we want to do and what do we need to do? Well, his first chapter, we're able to take out a pretty powerful creature. A 9/9 should take out something. Something. Okay? But his chapter 2, he gives you 4 red mana. That is that's mana ramp. Like to do that in mono red just as a triggered ability, it's amazing. It's amazing. You're able to cast more cards. and to win the game. I'm automatically thinking damage doublers here. Damage doublers, damage triplers, or using it to equip powerful equipments. You're trying to win the game. You're trying to end the game. If you have a 9/9 on the battlefield that's giving you mana, take somebody out. Also, what's really good is his chapter 3 ability, because he transforms back into Clive, which is a enter the battlefield ability, okay, which triggers Clive's ability of discarding your hand and drawing cards equal to your devotion to red. He's just like a cycle. That is amazing. This card is a kill on site commander. So every like he's I'm sorry, he's a kill on site commander. He will end games if he lasts more than 4 turns. Straight up. Let's talk about some more cards. So the first card you got to add is Count on Luck for 3 red mana. It's an enchantment. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Okay, so this is impulse draw. You're able to play any card at the top of your library. But what most importantly about this card is 3 red mana straight up. That is 3 red mana equal to your devotion. So whenever Clive enters the battlefield, that's at least 3 from Count on Luck and 2 from Clive. That is 5 cards you get to look at. Then you exile the top card of your library. That's possibly 6 possibility of cards. That's crazy. That's crazy. 6 possibility of the cards of mono red. You're able to win the game. You're able to win. I'm telling y'all get to see cards. That's why this commander is crazy and he exemplifies what red really wants to do. He's a kill on site commander. If you play Count on Luck and you are transforming Clive and Clive is coming back onto the battlefield, you're able to see cards. That's the biggest thing about red. You generally don't get to see cards like that without casting other spells. Moving on to the next card. Gratuitous Violence for 2 and 3 red. It's an enchantment. It says if a creature you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. First of all, note the 3 red mana required cost. It's just like Count on Luck. I don't need to explain that again. And what I've been saying before is this is a damage doubler. Clive swinging for 5, that's going to be 10 damage. Commander damage. When he's Ifrit's, the enchantment summon, he's a 9/9. If he deals double, that's 18 commander damage. Gross. This is a no-brainer. But let's get even more offensive with better cards. So forgive me for saying this name wrong. Mjolnir Stormhammer for 4 mana, legendary artifact equipment. Okay, whenever it enters the battlefield, attach it to target legendary creature you control. What do you know? Clive is legendary. What do you know? Ifrit, Warden of Inferno is legendary. Haha. It says whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls and put a stun counter on it. Then Mjolnir deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of tap creatures that opponent controls. Equipped for 4 mana. So the reason why I added this card, because this is another way to deal damage not only to one opponent but to multiple opponents. And guess what? You have opponents out there, okay, that go wide with tokens. I've seen squirrels, mice, rats, saplings, you name it. Okay, there are a bunch of creature tokens that go wide. So whenever an opponent swings out and they tap all their creatures, or somebody has tapped all their creatures, you can take advantage of that with this hammer because you're going to target that player. And let's say they have 10 creatures tapped because they swung out at somebody else. Oh, yeah, you swing with Majorn with it being equipped to Ifrit or Clive, that's 10 damage that each opponent is taking. Then the equip cost is 4. So essentially, when you're on the Brimstone chapter, okay, it's equipped for free, pretty much. That's your 4 red mana right there for the equip cost. Moving on. Embercleave. This is a mono red equipment staple, but there is one biggest thing y'all need to worry about if you have this equipped if you plan on equipping it. Okay. So 4 and 2 red. Legendary artifact equipment. It has flash. That's the biggest thing. It has flash. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control. When Embercleave enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has double strike and trample. Equip 3. Okay, let's unpack this. First of all, whenever you play it at instant speed, which is flash, you get to automatically attach it to creature. That is powerful. Okay, so for each creature you control that's attacking, it costs 1 less to cast. So I've seen it be casted for 2 red mana at its maximum possibility during the attack phase. That's what I'm bringing up during the attack phase. So whenever you cast this, tap mana from your mana pool or mana rocks. This will not work, or you cannot cast it using the mana from Brimstone chapters 2 and chapter 3, because that triggers during your main phase. And that will empty after your main phase into your combat phase will empty your mana pool. Your mana does not trigger over to different phases unless it says so. That's what I'm trying to explain. So that's what the caveat I need y'all and warn y'all about. But otherwise, if the Embercleave is attached to Ifrit, that is a 10/10 with double strike and trample. Gross. Moving on to the next card. So my next card I'm including is must add in your Clive Ifrit's deck, just because of its utility ability. So let me talk about Dragon Breath here. For 1 and a red, it's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Okay. Enchanted creature has haste. Okay. Then it says tap a red. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. You can do this any amount of times, just limited to the amount of red mana you have. This ability is called fire breathing. It is an old school concept. I freaking love it. All you old head, OG Magic players, y'all know what I'm talking about. But this card gets better. It gets better. And this is where it becomes very useful whenever you build Clive. It's a must add. It says whenever a creature with converted mana cost 6 or greater enters the battlefield, you may return Dragon Breath from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to that creature. Guess what? Clive is 6 mana. Okay? So this gives Clive haste whenever you cast him and this card is in your graveyard. Guess what? You're going to put this card in your graveyard because the first time you played it, if it was in your hand, you're going to discard it, right? Because Clive is a one-sided wheel. It's a free discard card that comes back into play whenever Clive is entering the battlefield. And when I say entering the battlefield, remember when he's the Ifrit version of himself, the enchantment summon, and chapter 3 happens, he transforms back into Clive. Yeah, so that means this card comes back on him. Also, do note, if you have this on Clive, right, and you transform Clive into the Ifrit, this Dragon Breath will fall off because Clive becomes exiled, then returns to the battlefield. Any other time, whenever you transform a creature, the enchantment aura would stay if that creature remains a creature when it's transformed. But unfortunately, Clive says exile, then return to the battlefield. So that won't happen. But I have some more cards that take advantage of Clive's power and also the Ifrit's power. Let's talk about it. So I wanted to show you some cards that take advantage of Ifrit Warden of Inferno's 9/9 power and toughness. We have here Zenith Festival for X and 2 red. Okay, it's a sorcery from the Tarkir Dragonstorm set. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may play them until the end of your next turn. Okay, this is really good because with this deck, you will be seeing a lot of your deck. You will be drawing your cards impulsively, exiling your cards to decide if you want to cast them this turn. This is really a glass cannon commander all on one card. This is an awesome card. Back to Zenith Festival. Its bottom ability is called Harmonize. X and 2 red. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its harmonized cost. You may tap a creature you control to reduce that cost by an amount of generic equal to its power, then exile the spell. So ideally, I would imagine I would do this on chapter 1, right? A 9/9, you tap it and you get to see what 9 cards from the top of your library. You exile the top 9 cards from your library and tap 2 red mana. Okay. But what's good about Xena Festival is not until the end of your next turn. Mm. So it doesn't, it's not as, it's a really good card. The end of your next turn. You get to see 9 cards until the end of your next turn just by tapping Ifrit. And we ideally want to do this on chapter 1. So then when chapter 2 happens, you got 4 extra red mana and a possible attacker that's a 9/9 and a possibility of 9 exile cards that you can play. And don't forget the card you drew at the beginning of your upkeep. That's a possibility of 10 cards. Wow. Moving on to another card. So look, let's take advantage of that 9/9, right? Volcanic Solvo for 10 and 2 red is a sorcery that says the spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Volcanic Solvo deals 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Okay, first of all, if you have the Ifrit out, he's 9 power. So this card could cost 3 mana to do 6 damage to each of the 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Wow. Wow. I'm telling y'all, that is value. That's value. Removing planeswalkers? Yeah. I say that because imagine how many times you played a commander game and opponents have these wall of creatures and a planeswalker just hiding behind them and you can't get to them. Oh no, Volcanic Salvo removes it. Next up, we got Molten Monstrosity. For 7 and a red, 5/5 body. It is a Helion creature. Okay, this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. It has trample. Just value. So if you have the Ifrit out, this 5/5 with trample could cost 1 red mana. You're just putting power on the board. Tell your opponents, do you have an answer for my 5/5 with trample that I only paid 1 red mana with? If no is your answer, you are in trouble. Thank you for watching this video on Clive. I think he's an awesome mono red commander that everybody is going to love because he has so many abilities and he exemplifies what mono red wants to do and can do at its best. And I love this transform mechanic that they put on these Final Fantasy commanders because it rewards you for keeping your commander on the battlefield. It feels like you're just leveling up to different stages. So without further ado, thank you. If you got any other cards that you suggest, put that in the comment section below. Peace out. Commander Claw.